Hello, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking, and I'm going to do another video today. And today we're going to talk about something that came up a week ago or so. It wasn't long ago, and it was some pretty important information, at least I thought it was, that probably most of you have not heard about. At least that's what I'm hearing out there when talking to some of my friends in the field of ufology. One of the things that happened, of course, is last Wednesday, I think it was, Sean Kirkpatrick, who is the director of the government's office of the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, he's retiring. He's leaving his office. Now, it seems like it's a pretty legitimate thing that he's retiring. He's 27 years of service in the government, and I'm sure he wants his pension, etc., and move on in life. Now, let's remember, though, if you follow the story, he's kind of come out with some pretty profound information about UFOs that was never disclosed before. And he also put this office together, and hopefully it'll keep on developing and getting some really good information out about ufology and some of the true stories about what's going on in the world with UFOs. So anyways, one of his, and he started talking as he announced that he was leaving, and he brought up some interesting things. One really interesting thing, and this really interesting thing was the fact that even though they are looking for possibility of foreign players in explaining UFOs and UAPs, they're really starting to lean now closer to actually aliens. Okay? Now, some of you had to read between the lines a little bit, but he's really coming towards that, or at least he was. Now, this may be what his feelings were all along, but he didn't want to say anything because he was the director. He wanted to play the game a little bit with the government, as you have to when you work in these kind of sensitive positions. But now he's a little more free. Of course, he's still got his pension to worry about, but I think he could say a few more things and get away with it at this point in time, and he has. So anyways, he's leaning towards aliens. As far as I'm concerned, more than foreign possibilities, foreign enemies using high levels of technology. They've completely eliminated, I think he also said another thing, he completely eliminated any possible secret U.S. programs or experimental aircraft. I think they said they've looked in this, they really feel confident they can say it's not our government, period. That was always a possibility, as we all know. But I don't think we've ever even seen anything from our government or anybody leaked anything that they had these amazing craft that could do all these crazy turns and speed up and just things that we've never seen before at all from our U.S. government. So anyway, he's leaning towards towards aliens, and of course there's been this striking, I guess we should call it striking shift from covering up to trying to get the information out there. Showing some military videos, talking about it. That's huge. It really is huge. Because basically over the century, they've been covering it up. They've been deflecting it, however you want to call it. But suddenly it seems like people have been coming out slowly but surely over the last 10 years, and then really accelerating the last couple years, and trying to say, hey, something's going on out there, and we should get to the bottom of it. Anyways, a year earlier or so, it's kind of interesting to note, and this, who knows, may have been where Sean got himself in a little bit of trouble. He had co-authored a draft, a scientific paper with a Harvard astrophysicist, A.V. Loeb, and that he really talked about something like these small probes that they were starting to see or starting to analyze, or actually went back in history and looked at some of the older sightings. And So anyways, they were thinking that possibly these ships, maybe like a mothership, would come by, drop all these probes, hundreds of them, into our atmosphere, and then they were, again, it was speculation, they were looking for water, although I guess it wouldn't be that hard to realize, the planet is more water than land, and maybe looking for some type of fuel with these probes. So that's what they put in this paper, and that opened up a lot of eyes and said, wow, that's pretty amazing when you start seeing things like that. So anyways, but over the years, there's been a lot of these, what they call the metallic orbs, okay? Now, they've been seen all over the world, and they were seen back during the Second World War, actually. So it's been from the Second World War, and it could have been before, but at least from the Second World War to now, okay? Some of these orbs are, not only do they look metallic, but some of them are very almost transparent or semi-translucent orbs, okay? You can see them, but they're, in some cases I've even read where you could almost seem to see through them. And the other ones were solid, like they were a solid metal of some sort, okay? So recently there's been drones, some of our drones that have seen them, okay, in the sky. And so they've had some videos, the government has some videos of these drones. And some of them would go up, they would be seeing these orbs, and they would be stationary, or some of them would be moving at pretty fast speeds. Not that there were speeds beyond what we could do, like Mach 2 or something like that. So that would be, 1,400 miles an hour, twice the speed of sound, okay? And again, they kept on leaning towards the whole concept that these probes are probably exploring. They're looking for something. Who knows what they're looking for exactly, but it seems like they've been around a long time looking for something. And generally speaking, now I've only heard about these probes after doing this for well over 50 years, only a few times, okay? And I'll relate a story at the very end of this about a friend of mine from the DOD. It's very interesting. So the metallic orbs. Anyways, again, I said they've been hanging out for probably about 80 years. And in the late 1944, they actually, Stars and Stripes, New York Times, Associated Press ran a story describing military crewmen or aircraft crewmen encountering mysterious silver balls which floated in the air. This is 1944 now, and these were not balloons. These were just balls, just some of them very small, actually. They would be by themselves, or some of them would be in clusters. And again, some were translucent. And then there was, apparently there was a whole bunch of them seen over Germany. Just hundreds of them. And that would have been 1944, right around 1944. The particular article I'm talking about was in 1944, so I think it could have been just a little bit before that. But anyways, these we're starting in the World War II, and then the next decades, there's been, at least in the military, recorded writing and documents talking about these mysterious orbs. And then just recently, Ryan Graves, as you probably know, has become a little bit famous. He's also one of those guys that was interviewed during that very famous hearing back a few months ago. And he says between 50 and 60 of his fellow aviators have frequently observed these type of orbs off the East Coast. And there's been times when they have had near air collisions with them also. And maybe part of it is the reason that some of them are not easy to see. I'm not really too sure if they pick them up on radar or not, but some of them are fairly small. So, anyways, what is really interesting about this is if you look at the logo of the government's UFO, the office I was talking about, they actually have one of these orbs on their logo. And there's also one that's on their mission statement, talking about, in their mission statement, they talk about alien technology in a metallic ball. So that, I thought that was really interesting. So this office, and probably Sean, really got into the spheres. Personally, he probably did a lot of research. He's not saying that, but my gut feeling is because he put this whole office together, and he had everything in the world to do with the logo and the mission statement, okay? Let me tell you, he is. So, with that said, let me tell you about my little story. So I had a friend, and I can't give any of his details, okay? I know you're going to say, can't you give us something? I can't. I really can't. I promised him I could maybe share a little bits and pieces of some of the stories he told me, but I cannot give you much detail about it. I can't even tell you. He says, please don't even say my first name, okay? And I won't. But anyways, I will still tell you the story. About 20 years ago, he said that he was in his house, and I will tell you he lived in New Mexico. That's all I can tell you. And him and his wife were just in the house, and I think they were preparing dinner, actually. And all of a sudden, there was this sphere or orb, and it was the size of a basketball. And he said his wife, who I interviewed, she said it will look metallic and silver, and he said it was translucent. And I guess I asked him, is it possible there were two of them? And they said no. But then again, they kept on thinking about maybe one saw one shape and one silver one, and one saw the translucent one. But what was interesting about it stayed and kind of whirled around, going past every window like they were looking for something. Okay, now, this guy was a high llama. He was a highest clearance that you could get. And I'm going to tell you this is the truth. He had a very high clearance. I don't know if he had the clearance equal to the president. Sometimes some people have told me that they had higher clearance than the president. It's possible, I guess. And I've talked to a lot of these guys. So he had a very top job, and he did a lot of really strange things, and he knew a lot of really interesting stuff, okay? So why this orb was flying around his house, I do not know. He doesn't know. He just speculated. But what he speculated, at first he just thought somebody was spying on him, and then more he thought about it, it wasn't. He said, him and his wife both said to me, the orb felt alive, okay? Alive. And felt alien. That was the other thing. It was alive and alien. So, I don't know. Maybe this is one of these orbs that they're talking about. I didn't know they got that close and were that personal with people, but my old friend seemed to think so. So, anyways, with all that said, I hope that spurs your interest in mysterious, metallic, translucent orbs. So, we'll see you.